Revelation Unraveled, Part 20, The Great War Continued. R6, Babylon is fallen. And another angel followed, saying, That great Babylon is fallen, which made all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. This second herald angel, R6, shifts the descriptions of war to the next four events, which are more detailed images of the fall of Babylon. The phrase is fallen indicates a double or twin event. Later on in chapter 18, verse 6, punishment is rendered double to Babylon according to her works. The terrorist attacks of 9/11 would fit this double description, an event foretold exactly 11 years prior to the date in the Bayside prophecies. More likely, however, the twin events refer to the two-pronged land and sea attack by the forces of the beast from the abyss, socialism/communism, and the 10-nation confederation. R7, blood in the sea. And the second angel poured out his bowl upon the sea, and there came blood, as it were of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. The sea war attack against Babylon, R7, has already been alluded to when the ICBM attack destroys 1/3 of the life in the sea, perhaps the Mediterranean Sea. The dead man's blood points to the resulting overwhelming decay and pestilence, which now kills the rest of the sea creatures. R8, Euphrates dried up. And the sixth angel poured out his bowl upon that great river Euphrates, and dried up the water thereof, that a way might be prepared for the kings from the rising of the sun. This second land war phase, R8, of the two-pronged attack was also previously mentioned. Here St. John seems to be saying that the huge Chinese army will cross the Euphrates in a somewhat fantastic fashion on a dry riverbed. Perhaps history will repeat itself. In the book of Daniel, the prophet tells Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, that his kingdom is about to fall. Daniel reads the writing on the wall, where the angel of the Lord writes, "You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting." That night, Belshazzar's enemies, the Medes and the Persians under Cyrus, gained entrance to the city by walking on the dry bed of the Euphrates under the walls of the city, since they had successfully diverted the river upstream. The three sections, R6, R7, and R8, are very short and basically repetitious of earlier World War III episodes. They are basically unnecessary and could easily be tacked on to other passages, except for one reason. St. John needs them in order to fill out his 9-segment pattern of events relating to each of the four horsemen. This pattern is crucial because it allows the book to be unraveled and reassembled in a logical and chronological sequence. R9, Fall of Babylon. And after these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was enlightened with his glory. And he cried out with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every unclean spirit, and the hold of every unclean and hateful bird. Because all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have been made rich by the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Go out from her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Chapter 18, R9, describes in greater detail the single most important event in the entire apocalypse, the destruction of Babylon, World War III. First, it should be noted that most commentators completely misinterpret the whore of Babylon and the beast she rides on as somehow interconnected. This is false. Babylon represents perverted capitalism, riding on and exercising control over the red bear, or atheistic communism, which resents this domination. Neither of the two combatants of World War III are worthy of our sympathies. The capitalist whore is full of abomination and the filthiness of her fornication, a perfect description of the sexual revolution. The communist beast is full of the names of blasphemies. Yet God will allow the blasphemous anti-Christian forces to defeat the Christian in name only capitalist societies. For her sins have reached even to heaven, and the Lord has remembered her iniquities. Render to her as she also has rendered to you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup wherein she has mingled unto her double. As much as she has glorified herself, and lived in delicacies, so much torment and sorrow give you to her, because she says in her heart, I sit a queen, and am not a widow, and sorrow I shall not see. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, and mourning, and famine, and she shall be burnt with fire, because God is strong, who shall judge her. Many people will find it preposterous that God would punish the capitalist nations, most of whom profess a nominal Christianity. But how many times in the Old Testament did God punish his most favorite nation on all the earth, Israel? The answer is, to whom much has been given, much will be expected. The major sins of our morally corrupt West are luxurious riches, idols of materialism, and fornication, sexual sins. Although it is God who judges capitalist Babylon, the death, mourning, famine, and fire do not come, at least at this point, as a heaven-sent chastisement of fire and brimstone. The instrument God chooses to punish the decadent West is the nuclear might of communist Russia, with the support of the 10 nation successors to the Roman Empire.